So Jeff showed you what we're calling the creative profile. It's your creative identity. It connects you to all of your work, and it moves with you from app to app and lets you work anywhere across desktop, mobile, or web. That's a really big deal, especially when it comes to mobile. And here's why. A few months ago, we conducted our largest creativity study that we've done in years, and we got feedback from thousands of creatives. In fact, many of you were probably part of that as well. And you told us that you wanted to use mobile apps as part of your creative workflows, but that you also said that it's also very hard because they're not connected to the desktop workflows that you use day in and day out. So we took on that challenge and launched a whole new family of mobile apps in June that deeply integrate with your CC desktop applications. Let's take a look.
Photoshop Mix allows my workflow to be as mobile as I am. Being able to stand up, walk around the space, and everything's at your fingertips, just streamline the whole entire process. Selecting and erasing, enhancing, finding different looks at a touch of a button. I can make all sorts of different changes, and I never lose the original image. I can work on it anywhere, anytime.
Being able to work mobile and have it fully mixed in with my workflow has kind of made everything fun again. Using Sketch and Ink and Slide reminds me of when we just used to sketch in sketchbooks. It's not just a toy, it's actually integrated with apps we use on the desktop computer. It's just a blast to work this way.
When Lightroom Mobile came out, it made me realize how much of a real camera my iPhone has become. I have this incredibly powerful editing engine right there with me. I can pick them, reject them, do a little bit of light editing on them, and then go into Lightroom for desktop and make them look great. It allows that photo to transcend mobile photography and really become true photography.
For our class presentation, I'd done my drawings with Adobe Sketch using ink. You can switch between different tips, different textures and colors. It just makes the drawing experience so much more fluid. It really allows me to express my ideas wherever I am. It's just really rewarding.
Now, the amazing thing about these apps is that they use the same technology you find in the CC desktop apps, not an approximation, the exact same technology. And they deeply integrate with your creative profile. So they work well with your assets, and they understand our file formats. In other words, they work great standalone, but now for the very first time, they work even better as extensions to your CC desktop workflows. So with that as the context, I couldn't be happier to introduce you to our growing family of mobile apps, and I'd like to invite up Scott Belsky to do the honors. Scott? Take it away.
All right. Really exciting. Hope the internet gods bless us for this demo, because the apps are great. Today we are releasing a family of mobile apps that truly revolve around you. And all of them were conceived with the same set of principles. First, they're all built around your creative profile. So all of your assets are always in sync and always on hand, right? They enable you to capture inspiration around you and use it as you actually create. They extend the power of the desktop apps, enabling you to start projects on mobile and finish them on desktop. And they're all integrated with community, of course, so really helping you get feedback and exposure on your work in real time. Up until now, the mobile and desktop apps that we use have in many ways siloed our creativity. Sure, you can do incredible creation on your desktop using Photoshop and other Creative Cloud desktop apps. Yes, you can capture inspiration on your phone, and you can certainly create using all sorts of apps on your tablet. But the limits of what you can create and how you create are bounded by each of these devices, each of which kind of boxes us in, limiting us to the individual apps that we use and saving creations to our camera rolls. Well, creativity doesn't like boxes, right? Creativity should just flow. And this is our mission. Remove the friction and let your creative profile connect creativity across mobile, tablet, and desktop. Just as the Creative Suite connected creation across desktop apps over a decade ago, it is time for Creative Cloud to connect creation across all of the apps and devices that you use to create. So to get started, we focused on new apps in illustration, imaging, and video. For illustration, we have the Illustrator family of apps. Illustrator Draw is a vector drawing app. Illustrator Line is all about precision drawing and drafting. For imaging, we have the Photoshop and Lightroom family. Photoshop Sketch enables you to use custom brushes to sketch and create entirely new forms of art and design. Photoshop Mix enables you to combine and cut out images, apply looks, and make non-destructive edits to your photos. And Lightroom Mobile is just the perfect companion to Lightroom on the desktop. And then for video, we have the Premiere family. Premiere Clip is our first mobile video editing app that works across iPhone and iPad. We are also launching today an entirely new family of apps that we call Creative Cloud Capture Apps. Jeff just showed you Adobe Color, which lets you capture colors around you and bring them into your creative process. Well, today we're launching 2 additional capture apps that allow you to capture brushes and shapes. And as you're about to see, these capture apps just add this entirely new dimension to your creative process. But don't take it from me. The best way to understand the power and potential of these apps is to witness the workflows that they make possible. And we wanted to share a few of our favorites with you today. So let's get started with the Illustrator family. I'm proud to announce the all-new Adobe Illustrator Draw, formerly known as Adobe Ideas, and the world debut of Adobe Shape. For this example, I want to bring up my colleague, Jeff Dowd, Principal Designer at Adobe. Jeff.
Thank you. Hey, Scott. How you doing? Great to see you, man. Like many of you, I am a designer, and I've long been inspired by shapes and forms in the real world, whether it be the beautiful industrial design of Adobe Ink, or perhaps some typography on the side of a building on the streets of downtown LA. And I've long wanted to capture those shapes as real vectors and then use them in my graphic design work across my phone, my tablet, and my desktop. I'm super excited to say that that is reality today with the introduction of Adobe Shape. Check this out. Shape is a live vector capture app for the iPhone. I know, it's rad, huh? You can dial up and down the amount of contours, you can do fills or outlines, and what this will do is turn this into a real vector object that you can use, of course, in Illustrator. So, you know, no offense, but I actually would like to not take a photo of you, Scott, and do a photo of a book. Is that cool?
Good idea.
All right. So this is my man, Shu. He's a great graffiti artist, and he's got this book called Calligraffiti, and he's really excited that we're going to use it to capture this type today. So what I can do is I can come over here, just kind of like hover over it. I'm going to dial up and down, maybe go to the inside of that shape, right? That looks pretty cool. It feels good. And I'll snap the shape, and what the app is doing is it's taking that preview and giving me a sense of what I can kind of delete or keep in there. Right? Maybe I'll zoom in, make sure I got everything. It's pretty cool. It looks a little rough there, but that's okay. This is just a preview. What it's doing is Shape is drawing smooth curves that I can then use as a real vector. I'm going to go ahead and name it.
So Jeff is putting a name on the shape that he just captured. And then this shape will forever be associated with his creative profile. So anywhere he can access his creative profile in Illustrator, any of the desktop apps, any of the mobile apps that you're about to see, he can use this shape and bring it to the next level.
And check it out. There it is. I know. Cool. I think they like it.
That is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a high-res vector captured from the environment. I mean, how cool is that? And you know, I'm signed in here with my Creative Cloud account. So there's my profile. So that means that these shapes will be with me wherever I travel, just as Jeffrey Bean was showing you a minute ago. You can see the other ones I have in here. That's great. It's a lot of fun to create a lot of shapes in here. But what I'd like to do is actually use this, of course, on the iPad. So can we go over there?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Now, we've got a great new app called Adobe Illustrator Draw, formerly known as Ideas. The first thing that we've done, and by the way, Draw is a vector drawing app for the iPad, so you can create beautiful, full-resolution vector drawings that work on the iPad, but then also back in Adobe Illustrator. One of the first things we did to this app in the time that we've had to work with this, we've made community drawings powered by Behance as part of this. So maybe you recognize some of the great work you've done in the past. Beautiful, full drawings. And then we've got a great new organizer. I'm going to go ahead and go into this. Then the other thing we did was we hooked up Adobe Ink, our Creative Cloud pen, with a fine point tip and pressure sensitivity. That means that over Bluetooth I can do beautiful, simple marks, and I can see the marks that I make. It's awesome. Now, the other thing we did is, so we introduced, back in June when we introduced Ink, we also introduced TouchSlide Touchslide is a digital ruler. Check this out. You can make parallel lines as you move across the canvas. You can tap to do different shapes or portions of. I mean, that's pretty amazing, right? You can also trigger different shapes like French curves. Every automotive designer will love that. You can't draw a car without a French curve, right? The reason why I'm showing you Touchslide is that we use it to get to the shapes that I just captured. Over here in my shape menu, you can see I've got my creative profile, my shape library, and I'm going to grab, let's see if he comes in. There he is. I'm going to grab that same art, calligraphy, that I just captured a moment ago off this book cover, is now here on canvas in the iPad app. With a double tap, I can stamp him right in place. I can scale him down, move him around, change the color maybe. Double tap that. That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Do you guys think it's cool? All right. Let's talk a little bit more about Draw. As I mentioned, Draw is a vector drawing app for the iPad, and that allows me to get beautiful, high-res drawings. Look at this great drawing by my man, Rob Zilla, one of our big-time ideas users in the past. And this drawing has 11 layers in it, including a photo layer. And why I'm showing you that is that it's really important to know that all those layers come over to Illustrator when I share this drawing. So check this out. I'll tap in here. I can send to all the different apps. I'll send to Illustrator. So back over on the desktop now, you can see the drawing comes right in with all the different layers, all 11 of them. Those are editable vector paths from the iPad on Illustrator Draw to Illustrator on the desktop. As a designer, that's what I want. I want to be able to not waste any time and any work over here to then bring it over to the desktop. Now, what about that shape I just captured, that calligraphy shape? Well, if you look over here in our panel, you'll see that I have my creative profile, I'm signed in, and all those same shapes are right there, including calligraphy. So I can just drag it over to this canvas. I'm making a little comp here for an ad. Scale it up. Rotate it into position, like so. That's pretty good. And then move it over like that. Again, that's a real vector path. You can see all those editable paths. So if I wanted to, I could distort this thing, but why bother? I mean, it was good like it was, right? Little Command-0 action. There you go. I mean, that's, again, from here to there, to there. What do you think?
Awesome.
All
Jeff,
right.
this is a connected workflow, right? All right, let's do it. Jeff, awesome. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Great work to your team. I mean,
Thanks.
amazing
Appreciate
work.
it.
Yeah. Okay. I think everyone gets the vibe here. So now let's shift to the Photoshop family. As you know, Photoshop isn't just one thing. Photoshop is used in so many different ways for digital photography, for digital painting and graphic design, and over time, we want to tackle all of these. But today, I'm proud to announce the new version of Adobe Photoshop Sketch and the world debut of Adobe Brush. For this demo, I want to welcome my longtime colleague and Adobe's mobile design leader, Eric Snowden.
Hey, thanks, Scott. So I'm super excited to show off Adobe Brush for the first time on the Max stage today. And Brush is a capture application that lets you make brushes for Photoshop, Illustrator, and the new Adobe Photoshop Sketch from images. It's pretty awesome. It's universal on the iOS. I'm going to be using it on my phone. It works great on the iPad too, but this is the camera I usually have with me. So if you look inside the app, we've got a bunch of default brushes that were created using the application. We've got this really interesting, beautiful grass brush that if you sort of drag, it'll redraw, and you can actually preview these. A bunch of different sketches are actually created by drawing on paper and then repeated. Everything from that down to some really realistic looking brushes here. And that's the kind of brush I actually want to make today. So I'm going to go into my Creative Cloud folder, and I'm going to pull up something that I've photographed a little while ago. I've got this watercolor splatter, and this is on a piece of watercolor paper, just sort of drips of ink, but it creates a really nice pattern when you make a brush out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And right away, you see a preview across the top, and I can draw with it. And so I want to make some changes to this. It's not quite right yet. So if I click on Photoshop, I'm going to select that as my source. I'm going to go into crop and get rid of some of that unwanted noise around it. And then in the Refine tab, we have the ability to knock out the background. So it's got this paper texture behind it, which really doesn't add to the brush I want to get rid of. In settings, I can change the size. I can change the spacing. I can start adding some scatter and some jitter. And so this adds a little bit of randomness. It doesn't feel like such a, a precise pattern. It starts to feel a lot more organic. And this looks pretty good to me. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And so because I'm connected with my creative profile, this is being saved into a paintbrushes library, and it's going everywhere that I have this library hooked up. And
awesome. So here you can capture a brush using an image on your phone, something from Creative Cloud, or something around you, which we'll get to in a moment.
Yep.
But what do you want to do with this brush?
So I see a check mark, so I know this synced. Put my phone down, come back over to Photoshop. In the upper left-hand corner, here's that brush that I just created. I'm going to go ahead and grab a color, make it a little bit larger. And if I start painting, I can really start to add some texture to this background here. So a little bit of yellow, pulling different colors from this Creative Cloud library, and just creating like a fun splatter pattern that I could use as a background. So I went from my phone over to Photoshop in just a few seconds.
Amazing.
Cool.
So what else do you have to show us?
So for my next demo, I'm going to actually use some paper and some charcoal. So get a little bit dirty up here. So in Sketch, we have some really beautiful drawing tools. We've got a pencil that looks very realistic, pens, markers. We don't have a charcoal tool. But using Brush, I can actually make a new tool and add it into the application. So I've got this here.
I'm pretty sure between Jeff's book and your charcoal, there have never been this many analog tools in a digital demo.
Right, it's great using technology to bridge the gap between these two things. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my camera here. And so I'm going to take a picture of this mark. I'm going to try to actually get out of the way so you can't see my shadow. There it goes. Okay, looks good. I'm going to hit the check mark, say that's okay. And so I'm going to change a couple of these settings to be a little bit different. I'm going to set this to go to Sketch, because that's where I want this to go. For the type, I'm going to make it a ribbon brush, and that actually stretches this mark across a path, so it feels a lot more like how the mark would actually look. Make sure my repeat is set, and again, I'm going to crop out a lot of the unwanted area here, zoom this in a little bit, start to change how this repeats. And pretty quickly, I can start to build a really nice brush. Again, I'm going to go into Refine. In Refine, I can use this white masking and knock out the background. Let me grab this. There it goes. And then next. And I think those settings look pretty good. I'm not going to really mess with the size, the opacity. I'm just going to name this.
So while Eric is naming this, notice the zen of these capture apps, right? And the design language, they're very simple. They all work the same way. You capture something, you can edit it if you want to, you can get a little geeky with it, but then you save it, it's to your creative profile, you can use it anywhere. Once you know how to use one of these capture apps, you know how to use all of them.
Right. And so this is, again, syncing to this Paintbrushes Creative Cloud library. Anywhere that I'm connected, it's going to go over and give it that 1 second to sync. And so while this is syncing, I'm going to go ahead and launch Sketch. And so Adobe Photoshop Sketch, new naming for Sketch. It's a natural media drawing app, so using pens, pencils, markers, and now brushes created in the Brushes app. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this blank canvas here. And if I click on this new tool, our Brushes tool, you'll be able to see that there are brushes built into the application that were actually created using the Brush app. So we're using one of our apps to actually make tools that go into one of our other apps. It's pretty exciting. If I go into my Paintbrushes library, you'll see that splatter that I just made went over to Photoshop. Sketch can understand those brushes as well. If I refresh, I should be getting my charcoal brush.
Let's see here.
1 second. Internet.
Yeah, and they're saying that the syncing is, the internet's off and on.
There it goes.
Great.
So that showed up. So I've got my charcoal brush here, and I can start to make marks with it. And if I zoom in, you see all of the little bits and pieces of charcoal that broke off. I mean, it looks really organic.
So no two brushes will ever be the same.
Right. Every time we go through this, it's just a little bit different. The charcoal breaks apart differently.
Yeah.
You can create tons of different versions of this.
So how crazy can you get with these brushes? I mean, this is a brand new tool to the world here. Where can it go?
It's pretty limitless, actually, Scott. So I'm going to go in and grab this brush, and this was made from photographs of flowers. So it creates this beautiful repeating image pattern in the background. We made this brush here out of bricks. Change a different color. I can start drawing with this. Really anything that you can capture with your camera. Even people, Scott. So I made this brush out of you.
What a dapper looking brush you have there, Eric.
And I'm not sure that this is a brush I would ever use, no offense, but I think it just shows like the power of this application. Really, anything you can capture with your camera, you can make into a brush and start drawing with it. It's really amazing.
Amazing.
And so, to that point, we have we have the Behance gallery built into Brush in the same, into Sketch in the same way that we do into Draw, and we can see really great projects. Looks like we're having a little bit of an internet problem here. Oh, there it goes. And so these are some illustrations that were created by one of the designers at Adobe, Eric Natsky, using brushes. You can see like these don't look digital. They don't look like they were done on an iPad. They're really, really beautiful, expressive marks. It's really amazing what we can do with this application. Yeah. It's pretty exciting. So the last thing I want to show is actually sending this to the desktop. So I'm going to find an illustration that I've been working on here. And this is something I did completely in Sketch. And in version 1 of Sketch, we had the ability to send this to Behance and to Creative Cloud into our desktop apps as a PNG. It was flat. And that was really great for tracing or basic compositing. But we can do a lot better with that in this version. So this time when we click Send to Illustrator, if I go back over to my desktop, we've got this illustration over here. It's come through with all of the vectors, with all the lines. It looks just the same way that it does on the desktop, or sorry, on my iPad. And it's much higher resolution. This isn't a PNG. This is the actual Sketch file being moved over, so we can scale it up much larger. We can use it to print. It's much higher resolution. We've got a ton more flexibility. The other thing we can actually do is break it apart into its component paths. So as you've been drawing in Sketch, we've been marking every single vector you've made. Every single mark has been captured, and we can actually transfer this back into its actual vectors. Here we go. And if I go in here, I can start editing this. So I can start deleting out areas I don't like. I can start changing the color of things. I've really started drawing on the iPad, moved over the desktop, broken it apart, and I can continue editing on the computer.
So listen, Eric captured brushes, brought them into Photoshop, right? Brought them into Photoshop Sketch, made something, brought it into Illustrator to take it to the next level. Truly connected workflow. Eric, thank you so much.
Thanks, Scott.
So now let's shift to another key, Photoshop, a member of the family, Photoshop Mix. I'm really proud to invite up Brian O'Neill Hughes, product manager of Photoshop Mix at Adobe.
Thank you, Scott. Hello, everyone. Photoshop Mix is creative image editing on the go. Precise selective edits, powerful composites, and of course, deep integration with Photoshop. But before we talk about any of the editing features, what I want to talk about is access, right? Because of my creative profile, I can get to my images wherever they are. On Creative Cloud, that means my JPEGs, my PNGs, my PSDs, even the individual layers from my PSDs are available to me here. I can get to my thousands of images on Lightroom Mobile. I can get to all of my various social sites. But for editing, let's talk about some local files here. And these aren't just any files. These are full-res files. Now, when Mix first launched, we had support for 16 megapixel images. As of today, we have support for 24 megapixel images. So I like this image. It looks pretty good, but I want to go ahead and cut out the sky. So I'm going to pop in here and just drag my finger over the sky. I could select the full foreground, but it's a lot easier to come in here and just invert that. I'm going to go ahead and apply that, and let's drop in something a little more colorful. That looks good. I'm just going to tap on that to select it, pinch to zoom, and let's nudge that into place. That looks great. OK, thank you. So what's cool here is this is automatically backing up and syncing via Creative Cloud, and this non-destructive project will be available to me the next time I log in. Let's try something a little more challenging. That was a pretty straightforward example. And for this one, obviously, a lot of detail, a lot of foliage. This would be a really tricky edit anywhere, even in Photoshop. Luckily, we've brought over technology from Photoshop to solve this problem. And like Photoshop's Quick Select, we're learning about our selection as we go here. So we're learning more and more about it with each stroke of my fingertip here.
And so there are a lot of apps out there that will do some form of compositing and selection, but nothing with this level of precision or handling this level of an image size. Is that right?
That's right, absolutely. Full res images, deeply integrated. Now, I can send that over to Photoshop whenever I'm ready, and it'll come in as a layered mask PSD. So we've talked about using Creative Cloud with our Creative Profile to get to our images. We've talked about using it to translate images to a language that Photoshop understands. Let's talk about something totally different and really unique to Mix, which is Photoshop Magic. So this image here, I want to get rid of a couple of distracting elements. Now, we're doing something really cool here. I can actually use content-aware fill. And the way that this works is I'm going to select the distracting parts of this image, these branches, and that bird over there. And once I'm happy with my selection, I'm going to hit Cloud Fill. It's going to send that image up to Creative Cloud, process the image there, and then it's going to pass the result back to my iPad here. And the result that I would get is that my image would actually have those things removed from it. Now, as this is working, I'll tell you, we could do this with shake reduction. We could do this with upright, which is perspective correction. And in all of those cases, this is a really unique way of leveraging Creative Cloud because we're literally using it as a processing environment.
And it's literally taking 10 times longer than this morning when we did it without all the 10,000 devices in the room.
I think we'll all wait for it. We'll give it just a second to do its thing. Magic sometimes takes a moment.
Understood. And so this is one of the cloud operations
that
we've added into the app, and there are a few of them that were.
And in this case, just like the others, it's literally running Photoshop features available on mobile. Let's give it just a second. I have faith that it's gonna finish up here for us. TikTok.
And if you wanted, we could go over and I could tell you when it goes. Let's see. Yeah, you may as well.
Okay.
So let's move over to the desktop.
Take a really quick look at the files on the desktop, which have already opened over here. And we'll see that when we come in here, these are full res files with detailed masks. So if I look in the lower left-hand corner, that's a 65.8 meg composite. It's a full res composite. Let's look at this other image. I'm zoomed into 100% on this one. Again, high-res file. And I'm just going to come into my mask edge here. Let's switch that to black and white. And let's just come in here to Smart Radius and do some of the stuff that I could only do in Photoshop. And yeah, I can start getting an even better mask. So that's what we came in with from our fingertip. And this is what we ended up with after refining it. So we took that really, really far. So yeah.
Real clear connected workflow between iPad, Photoshop Mix, and Photoshop on the desktop. Now I know that the most requested feature, though, from people who were early adopters of Photoshop Mix was, give me some of this power on my phone.
Yeah, absolutely. So folks have been asking for this on the iPhone, and I'm really thrilled to announce that as of today, Photoshop Mix is available on the phone. All right, so I'm excited too. Let me show you how this works here. So I'm going to come in here, and I have access to all of my same files as before. I can get to everything just as I could on the iPad. But I'm going to go with a couple of local files here. And speed is really the name of the game here. So with this image here, it's dark. It needs a lot of tonal adjustments. And I could do those individually here, but I'm going to take a chance on auto and see what it gives me. That's after, that's before, after. I'm telling you guys, this is the best auto in the business. Later on, once you've left, pull down Mix and try auto on the dark images you're shooting in here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It works. OK, let me show you one more. OK, so here's a picture of my little boy, and I want to cut him out from the background. Now, again, I could do this manually, but on the phone, this is all about speed. So in this case, I'm just going to hit auto, and it's automatically going to knock him out from the background. I can come in here and touch that up a little, but in just a couple of seconds, it's automatically selected him and pulled him out of the background.
Really cool. So some of the, just taking some of the best Photoshop features that are on the iPad, bringing them to the iPhone, and also adding some new kind of quick service features that leverage the power of Photoshop. And I also have to say, I really admire your elephant picture that is branch-free and bird-free. It looks beautiful.
Yep.
I don't know if we can get the,
get
it on the side cam or something. Not planned, whatever.
There we go.
Hey, there you go. OK.
Before and after.
OK, there you go. So
right.
It did work. Good.
Thanks, everyone.
Brian, thanks again, and congrats to your team for all the great work.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Scott.
thanks, Brian.
Thanks.
So as you can see, these apps enable this new level of creation and compatibility just never seen before. Things are really working together, which is great. Now let's shift to video apps. These days, we are capturing video with multiple devices at a higher frequency than ever before. And you're seeing all kinds of stuff like this, right? People running around with everyday devices, capturing video like pros, and the quality is only getting better. But for the most part, this video has remained stuck on the device. Well, how can you easily edit all of these clips across all of your devices? And what if you could do all of this with the option of bringing it into Premiere Pro to take it to the next level? I'd like to invite my colleague Megan Keane from Adobe, from the Premiere Pro team and a filmmaker herself, to introduce Adobe Premiere Clip. Welcome, Megan.
Thank you, Scott. I am super excited to be here to show you guys Adobe Premiere Clip. Premiere Clip is an app that allows you to create and edit videos all on your mobile device. As Scott said, I'm a filmmaker by trade. But even in my life, there are times when I want to create a video and I just want to keep it simple. This is why Premiere Clip is so awesome, because as a designer or a photographer or an artist, you can create videos having never seen the inside of Premiere Pro. Of course, if you're well-versed in Premiere Pro, Premiere Clip is another great tool to add to your toolset. So for example, my sister is a fashion designer, and I recently captured some iPhone footage at a shoot she was doing for the upcoming season of her line. So I want to take that footage and create a short video that she can use for social media, sort of a sneak peek getting, behind the scenes of the shoot. Getting started on Premiere Clip is super straightforward because I can either access video files saved to my Creative Cloud or directly from my camera roll. So I just select the clips I want to use. And getting started is as easy as that. Now, all of the clips are added to my sequence in the order that they were shot. So if I want to change that order, I just drag and drop. Right here on my iPhone, I can do all sorts of work with exposure and highlights, audio, even add slow motion. But personally, I like to capture on my iPhone, but when I want to do more editing work, I like the larger real estate of an iPad. So let's switch over to the iPad.
So it's important to point out, so Megan could have done all of her editing on the iPhone, but because of the creative profile at work, every clip that she added, every edit that she applied was saved so she can pick up right where she left off. And this point, you want to pick up on the iPad.
Absolutely. So you can see that my creative profile is right there. There I am. And here's my project. Now, I love to edit to music. So adding a music cue is just as straightforward as adding a new video clip. You can either access music saved on your the music library in your device, or you can use one of the built-in themes in Premiere Clip that are all pre-licensed, so you have no worries about the legalities of the music that you're using. So let's see how this cue looks with this. Yeah, I think that works with the feeling of the piece. So the other thing I noticed is that this clip here is 20 seconds long, where all of my other clips are like 5 to 8 seconds. So I want to shorten this clip, but I love this lens flare right there at the beginning. So I'm going to pull this back from the back. Let's see. Yeah, that's much better. Now, because this is all about the clothing and the rich, graphics on the textiles, I'd like to add a preset color grade that'll just bump up the colors. Now, Premiere Clip has all these great built-in color grades that you can choose from.
And I should note that these come from the Speed Grade collection. So these are some of the most popular treatments used by professional colorists and video editors.
Absolutely. You can do anything from something really extreme, like this Dreams, which is a little more extreme than maybe we're going for in this shoot. Or you can do something, that just really bumps up the colors, but keeps in keeping with the original feel of the shoot. Yeah, like that. I think that works really well. Okay, so I'm really liking the way that this is working. So I could share it directly to social media right here from Premiere Clip. But there was one shot that I actually would like to do a little bit more with, and I'd love to leverage the full feature set of Premiere Pro. So I'm going to send it over to my desktop.
And so again, creative profile at work here. You can jump right over to Premiere Pro on the desktop.
Absolutely. And you'll notice that once I bring in my Premiere Clip project file, not only do you see all of the clips that we started with over in Premiere Clip, but also my full timeline started on my iPhone is now available to work with in Premiere Pro. So awesome, right?
Very awesome.
Okay. So I mentioned there was one clip that I wanted to do a little more with. It's this one here. You know, the light on the clothing is really beautiful, which is really the point of this. But the model's face is a little overexposed. So I want to apply a color grade that will only affect her face as she moves through the clip. So I'll just apply that color grade. And now, all new in this version of Premiere Pro, we have a free draw pen tool. Of course, we're working with a face on this, so I'm just going to go ahead and use an ellipse, put it right over her face. Okay. And all new in this version of Premiere Pro, I can manipulate the feathering right here in the program monitor. So no need to futz with the numbers over here. And wait for it, the best part, Premiere Pro's tracking of this mask will follow the model's face as she moves through the clip. So it's only applying the effect to that face.
So super, super awesome. There you have it. Premiere quality editing across iPhone, iPad, and finishing your work in Premiere Pro. Megan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Scott.
So we have only covered just a few of the types of workflows that you can do with the latest mobile apps, but I hope you get a sense of the possibilities. Let's review the full lineup. 3 Creative Cloud capture apps: Adobe Color, Adobe Shape, and Adobe Brush. Now you can capture real-world objects with the phone you always carry as immediately usable professional design app assets. This is like digital sampling for the new modern creative, and we're super excited about them. We have the, all right, really exciting, I know, yes. You can hold applause, whatever, it's up to you. We have the Illustrator mobile family, Illustrator Draw, Illustrator Line, which we didn't get to demo today, but there's just a great version that's hitting with more precise drawing and drafting than ever before, great stuff. The Photoshop and Lightroom mobile family, Photoshop Sketch and Photoshop Mix, a new version of Lightroom Mobile. And to kick off the Premiere mobile family, we have Premiere Clip. So it's an exciting lineup, and it is fair to proclaim that starting today, these mobile devices are no longer those silos of creation, and mobile creative apps are no longer toys. Today, we start this new era of connected creativity. So, but here's the only thing. Adobe isn't the only company that makes creative apps. You should be able to use any creative tools that you want and still have a connected experience with access to the stuff in your creative profile. So this past June, we announced the private beta of the Creative SDK. Creative SDK opens Adobe's technology to third-party developers to connect the next generation of creative applications. The latest release of the Creative SDK includes a rich, rich collection of Adobe's core technology with access to Creative Cloud. Many of the features that you've actually seen today in the Illustrator and Photoshop and Premiere mobile apps were actually made possible by the Adobe Creative SDK. Things like, a lot of the stuff behind me, as well as browsing and using any asset from Creative Cloud, extracting from PSD files and pulling something into a mobile app, Lightroom photo access, just to list a few of the ways that we're opening up Adobe technology. We're also thrilled to welcome the Aviary team to Adobe. The Aviary team, and I know a few of them are here, so we're really excited. These folks are veterans and pioneers in designing SDKs for mobile creation and building a vibrant developer ecosystem. Aviary has built a photo editing platform that powers thousands of mobile apps. And already our teams are brainstorming the things that we can do together to further extend the capabilities of Creative SDK. So the Creative SDK has a fantastic roadmap and becomes publicly available today. And we've already actually been working with a lot of developers, of course, to leverage the SDK ahead of time. And to show us one example, I'd like to invite up Jake Nickell, co-founder and CEO of Threadless, along with Alex Solis, a designer and a Threadless artist. Welcome, guys. Hey, Jake. Hey, Alex. So, welcome, guys. I see that Alex is hooking up here. And you have Illustrator Draw loaded up on your device. So we'll let you get to work. And Jake, tell us about Threadless.
Sure. So at Threadless, hundreds of thousands of artists from all around the world submit designs on our website. and then they get scored, and we make physical products out of the best designs, like T-shirts. So today we're super excited. We're announcing a new iPad app called Threadless Make. And so our artists have been asking for better ways to mock up their designs.
Well, let's just make sure we get it loaded up there. Oh, we're good.
Wait for it to get up on.
Don't want people to miss you at work here. All right.
So yeah, artists are asking for better ways to mock up their designs. They're taking touch devices a lot more seriously as creative tools, and they're working a lot away from their studios and away from their desks. So we teamed up with Adobe, and we used the Creative SDK to create this app that allows artists to mock up, create, submit designs to Threadless. So Alex is working here on his latest design. Just finishing it up here.
Very cool. So I see that you're pulling in a shape, which you must have captured with Adobe Shape earlier, and a Max logo from our name tags, maybe? I don't know. That's cool. All right, thank you.
Yeah, you grabbed the Max logo earlier using the Shapes app.
So now you're jumping over to Threadless Make.
Yep. So, and Make is connected to Creative Cloud, so he'll be able to pull in that drawing in a minute here. But first, he's going to choose what color shirt he wants to use. So we print on guys and girls, all kinds of different colors. So he's going to choose a guy's silver tee, and then pull in the drawing by visiting the Creative Cloud section of the app.
And so this is using one SDK component called the asset browser, which any third-party app can use to let people bring in the stuff that they've created with all of the mobile and the desktop products.
That's right. So he just pulled it right in, placed it where he wants it, and then he can also grab assets from the Creative Cloud market here. So he's going to pull an alien icon.
All right, appropriate. And again, another component that any third party can use, and with an Adobe ID, you get access to all your content.
Yeah, it's a pretty great feature because thousands of assets that you can use for your T-shirt designs. But the best part of the app is having access to all your Creative Cloud files. So here he's going to grab our style guide and extract our layer.
So this must be a PST that you guys have, sort of with all of your various versions of the logo, and you can just circle and identify a layer that you want to extract from the PST, and then bring it into the mobile app that you're using.
So he just grabbed our logo, and he's going to throw it on the skateboard there and place it.
Awesome.
And now to preview the design, he can do a little bit more fine-tuning, place it exactly where he wants it, and publish it. So when you publish, there's a lot of different options. You can save it off as a PSD and go right back to desktop and work on it some more. You can push it to Behance if you want, and you can share it with social media, and you can also post it right to Threadless for voting right from here as well.
And then pray for votes.
That's right, pray for votes.
Really cool. Guys, Threadless Make.
Thank you.
Really cool. Thank you, guys. And we have a special a version of Threadless Make that's in the connected creativity area outside, so in the convention center. So you can go and make your own shirt and print it on demand. It's really, really cool. And that's just one example. We're working with a ton of other app makers, including the folks represented behind me, and hopefully many, many more to come. A couple of just quick call-outs. We're working with Paper. By 53, we'll be bringing the capability of publishing to Illustrator and Photoshop into their app, Paper. We're also working with Moleskine, launching an app that lets you capture sketches in your notebook and then bring them into Illustrator. So super cool apps to look out for. All of these SDK capabilities that you've seen today that we were just talking about are available now for developers in iOS, and we're working on Android and Windows Universal Components as well. So stay tuned on that. So here we are. This new era of mobile creation has begun. With all of the apps that you saw today and the Creative SDK, we can't wait to see what you're going to create with all of this new technology. Thank you.